Star City Games Live. Sorry for killing you there a little bit, Ari.
Okay.
We're here in Pittsburgh for a wonderful weekend of Magic. I'm Adrian Sullivan.
And I'm Ari Lax. And here today we have the Standard Open this weekend.
That's right.
Round one, we had some technical difficulties, but we'll have a recorded match up later. We had Tempered Steel defeating Mono Red Goblins.
Right.
So that matchup was pretty interesting.
Right.
Some interesting cards that match. We saw
absolutely.
Goblin Arsonist being played, and Goblin Fireslinger.
Right. Now, we're about to begin round two. There are 408 players here today.
9 rounds?
Yep. The last match, which will be being played later, is a pretty quick match. It was one of your friends, right, playing a Tempered Steel deck that you've been working on?
Yeah. Still working out the 2-drops, but it's pretty close to Alex's list from Top 8 Seattle last week. A friend of mine won a PTQ last week with it. A friend of mine won another large event with it last week. And after they played those events, they're like, well, let's talk about this. Let's make the change to the list. So they made the changes. They looked online. They're like, oh, this is Bertoncini's 60. Okay.
How many spell skites are you running in the deck's main?
I'm only running 3 right now.
Only?
I mean, I didn't really like the fact that it was an 0-4. It's kind of a do-nothing. Doesn't attack them on its own. So I added a couple Porcelain Legionnaires, which might not be the best, but it's still being worked on there.
One of the things with Spellskite is it is in an aggressive deck, it's a do-nothing on the aggressive plan.
Yeah.
But it does so much in other things, too. You know, like, someone will think to themselves, oh, I'll be just totally fine. Next turn, what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow up that one creature. It's going to blow up the Nexus, and I'll be fine. And then you lay the Spellskite, and they're like...
The new thing it does is that it stops the life gain on timely reinforcements. Because you can target any spell or ability with Spellskite. It doesn't have to be something with the target.
Right.
They just play timely reinforcements, and you're like, well, my life total matters less than yours, so I'm just going to pay down to less than your life total, and you're not going to gain 6.
That's really good. That's nice. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll still have 3 1/1s, but in a deck with Tempered Steel, 1/1s don't matter so much.
Round 1/1s, and that's huge. The deck has all of these flyers, so...
And then the deck that he was playing against your friend, Ray Todic, you mentioned it was a Goblins list. Usually when we think of Goblins, we think of, like, you know, Chief, you know, Ember Hauler, things like that. This deck, none of that. It was like 21-drop creatures.
Yeah.
And Goblin Grenade, Searing Blaze. The curve basically stopped at 6 2-drops.
It was
4 Searing Blaze and 2 Incinerate.
So that's the
top of the curve.
It was the old 20-20-20 deck, but he cut 2 lands for 2 Dismembers.
Yeah, which is a pretty good swap.
Yeah. Dismember's a pretty solid card.
Right, and in that match, obviously, a Tempered Steel deck versus a aggressive Goblin deck. The cards that really, really make things huge, Tempered Steel is such a problem for another aggressive deck.
Yeah, basically what happened was games 1 and 3, the Tempered Steel deck had Tempered Steel in play and won. And then the other game, the Tempered Steel deck couldn't cast Tempered Steel and lost.
I would characterize it slightly differently. I would characterize it as games 1 and 2, somebody had mana problems. Game 1, we saw Ray's list, and he complained, actually talking with Matt after the match. After his fetch lands, he drew 9 lands game 1 in his 18-land deck, and had his opponent down to, apparently with his hand, like it was land at the end of the game. And he was like, yeah, it was pretty rough, because there was a couple of turns in there where a spell really would have turned the tide. And then game 2, your friend, whose name I forget,
Jimmy
Risk.
Yeah, just stuck on 1 white source, Firewalker and Tempered Steel's in hand.
For a while, stuck on no white sources.
No, he had the Mox Opal always. He just never put into play because it's not worth exposing.
Yeah, well, the Mox Opal doesn't make mana unless he's got the extra artifacts, right? So for the first 2 turns, I don't think it would have made mana. So it was actually turn 3 before he even had access to his invisible white mana that was hiding in his hand.
Yeah.
And that's a huge deal, too, if you're playing against another aggressive deck and you're like...
Can't cast my spells, guess I'm gonna die.
So then game 3, we had an actual match where... an actual game, and Tempered Steel hit the table on turn 3 and just basically ruined Ray's day.
Yep. Yeah, it was actually, the curve was actually Vault Scourge, Core Firewalker, Tempered Steel, which is pretty much the nightmare there.
Yeah, and,
barring the ridiculous, I'm gonna go turn 1 Vault Scourge, Memnite, Mox Opal, Vault Scourge on tap Tempered Steel.
Yeah.
It's about as close to the nightmare as you're gonna get.
I think that from the other side, Ray's set of plays was something like Fire Slinger, Teetering Peaks Dismember, and then Frown.
Yeah. Especially on the draw, you're not gonna be. But it looks like, in general in the metagame, a lot of the top-level players are playing Callblade today.
Callblade is the deck of choice of most of the best players we're seeing. And what we're going to be doing right here is we're going to be going to that new match. We've got 2 players, Eli Kassis and his opponent,
Ruan.
Yeah.
So Eli is known, he, as far as I know, runs Jupiter Games. He's a well-known Legacy player with top 8s across that circuit. And Ruan, he was in a few feature matches in Cincinnati. He's from Michigan. Looks like the matchup is Callblade versus Valakut. Possibly not Callblade, possibly blue-white. Ruan has 2 Valakuts on his first 2 turns. Eli was on the play and led on Glacial Fortress into Seachrome Coast, but no other plays. Eli preordains. It looks like a Nexus' hand. Looks like this is Callblade. Yep, there's the blade.
I'm going to make my prediction ahead of time. I'm going to predict Eli has a matchup advantage here, which I think... Go ahead.
I don't know if that's true anymore. I don't know what Kai's list is, but I think that one of the huge things about the matchup used to be that Stoneforge Mystic was everything.
That's true.
And now without Mystic, it makes things a little more difficult. So
that's very true.
I think that it depends on the list, which we'll be getting in a second here. But Kai casts Cultivate. That's a sign that Eli's probably ahead in this matchup. Usually the creature-based ramp is much better against the Callblade decks, even though they have Dismember.
Yeah, cards like Spell Pierce, which we just saw there from Eli Kassis, are a big part of the reason for that.
It looks like Eli's going to play Nexus and Feast and Famine, setting up to start hitting with that and put down a real clock.
Now, one of the real questions, we don't know if Kai has a main deck Nature's Claim or not, but if he does... And looking at his list now, they've just been brought over by our runner, the inimitable Ruben Bressler. We do not have main deck Nature's Claims, so that sword is a real problem.
Yep, Kai plays an Overgrown Battlement and passes with a Terramorphic Expanse. Looks like Kai's deck's pretty standard Valakut. He's got a Terracodon and an Oracle Moldiah, no Solemns.
We're going to see equip, attack, and then I'm guessing activate the Tectonic Edge to take out... one of the Valakuts in play to forestall a potential Primeval Titan on the next turn.
Yeah, Eli does have a mana leak, so he might be setting up for that. He might also be planning on playing he might just play the second sword and leave a mana leak up. If he was planning on Tectonic Edging, he probably would have floated the mana and done it in combat. Let's see. Eli's deck has a Ponder, only 2 Preordain. He's got 2 main deck Day of Judgments, some Timely Reinforcements. Other than that, it's Edgar's list.
Okay, so here's one of the interesting things, actually, and there is the Tectonic Edge.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the debate between Shaheen Surani and other players about the use of Preordain, basically, eventually Shaheen was like, okay, I believe in Preordain in Callblade because getting Stoneforge Mystic is so important. And I don't know that I agree with not running 4 Preordains, but I wonder if Eli is thinking, without Stoneforge Mystic, maybe I don't need Preordains as much.
No, I really don't think you can not run that card in this format.
I'm not talking about what's correct. I'm talking about what he's thinking about.
Yeah, he also doesn't have fetch lands for this Ponder. That might just be a little bit of a legacy hold over there.
Fair enough.
I know in Legacy you just always have fetch lands, so Ponder gets a little bit better.
We have an Explorer from Kai, and it looks like that will get mana leaked.
Yep.
Several lands in Kai's hand still. Untap. Is that an Into the Royal he just drew? And there's another mana leak in hand?
Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce, a sword, and it looks like a Tectonic Edge. Yeah.
Well, that edge is just such a huge problem for Kai at this moment.
It's possible that just playing sword is the same kind of threat that that Stoneforge used to be. You don't really need the body necessarily. Kai has a Harrow in his hand.
And yeah, he probably is going to edge again, and he doesn't recognize that he could have floated that mana.
No. Kai's going to sack the edged land, so the Spell Pierce isn't as big of a blowout, but still, he's pretty far behind, looking at 6 poison, 1 card in hand, facing down this sword. Let's see.
Now, essentially, even though Eli did not have the Stoneforge Mystic, because he had the natural draw of the Sword of Feast and Famine combined with a Blinkmoth Nexus, what we're really seeing is, even though he might not be able to pull this off every game, we're seeing a recreation of what we usually would see in the really, really old school Cawblade versus Valakut.
By really, really old school, you mean like February or March, before people stopped playing Valakut?
I was actually thinking even Pro Tour.
Really? Oh, Pro Tour?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't at that Pro Tour, so I wouldn't remember. So.
And amazingly, this very magic Nexus still wears a sword, even though it's no longer a creature. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I don't think people had Nexus at the Pro Tour. That was a Dallas innovation.
The Nexus wasn't there yet, but I mean, it's recreating the way that the Stoneforge Mystic worked. And Kai, realizing he's just going to get torn up, scoops it up to go to the next game, bringing in almost certainly 4 Nature's Claims.
I don't know if he actually wants to bring in all 4 Nature's Claims. I mean, you only really have Sword as a problem. Like, Spellskite's not actually a problem.
Spellskite's not going to be an issue,
Yeah, so they only really have Sword, and one of the things is you just can't afford to draw dead cards against Cawblade. They're a control deck. They're going to try and trade cards, and you can't just draw 4.
Let's try this again, then.
Beast Within.
1 Beast Within, 1 Acidic Slime, I think, comes in. And then I would say probably at least 2 of the Nature's Claims, honestly. Because
1 or 2.
The instant power, and actually he's also fighting against...
Actually, he probably doesn't even need them. He might want to go with... I can see Koth being reasonable here, and I can see Obstinate Baloth being reasonable here as a way to capitalize. The discard from the... Actually, everyone I've talked to about boarding an Obstinate Baloth against Sword of Feast and Famine has been playing some sort of aggressive green deck where, they hit you with Sword, they untap their Lance, but you get a free turn too. So it's not necessarily quite as good out of this deck because you don't really capitalize on having a 4/4. So I think he might just be bringing in a Slime, a Beast Within, and 2 Koth, and probably boarding out Harrows or Slag Storms or some mix of the both.
I think he probably would board out all 4 Harrows.
I think you board out Slag Storms. I think you board out the Slag Storms first. Yeah. You can beat Squadron Hawks, and if that's... I guess they can put a sword on it, but I think you'd rather answer the swords than the Hawks most of the time. So it's probably 2 Harrows, 4 Slag Storms for a Slime, a Beast Within, 2 Koths, and 2 Nature's Claims.
Yeah, I like 2 Nature's Claims at least.
Maybe a Thrun, but I really hate that card. I don't think that card should even be in any deck right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. He has a Green Sun Zenith to get it, but even then, I don't really care for the card if you're not doing something like a green-white aggressive deck, or
even then, it's just a 4/4 body. There's so many better cards you can be playing. It's just gonna get blocked down by Timely Reinforcements or Hawks for turns and turns and turns.
Well, I mean, he does have it in the sideboard, so I mean, it's not necessarily for that deck.
Maybe he plays against like a blue-black deck.
That's what I'm talking about.
But even then,
one in the sideboard is not unreasonable to me against, say, blue-black, even blue-white.
Is that a deck anymore? Is blue-black a deck?
Blue-black is a deck. I mean, we saw it at the top 8 of French Nationals, and French Nationals, that is a competitive Nationals. I mean, like, when you're talking about Nationals to care about, I think French is one of the Nationals to care about.
Sure. My view of that event's a little skewed from back in the day when there was, like, this blue-white aggro deck that won that had the singletons of every card and...
Well, I mean, here's the thing about every Nationals these days is that, and actually for a very long time, is that the decks themselves that do well at any Nationals are influenced by people's draft results.
True.
So, I mean, you can never have in mixed formats the best deck rise to the top. Exactly. It's always best-ish.
Sure. Looking at Eli's sideboard, he's got some Flash Freezes he's going to bring in. Don't think he wants into the Royal. He might want Dismember. He doesn't know if Kai is Cobras or not. Day of Judgment's probably good in this matchup just to kill a Titan. You can live through 1 Titan trigger, but not 2. Don't want Misstep. Don't want Spellskite. Don't want Revoke. Don't want Divine Offering. Don't want War and Peace. Don't want Titan or... maybe Consecrated Sphinx.
I like Sun Titan.
I like Consecrated Sphinx a lot better.
Like, the reason I like Sun Titan is that you can get the Sun Titan Tectonic Edge thing going against a deck such that if their Primeval Titan resolves and you get rid of it, you can clear up the damage afterwards.
Reasonable. You probably don't want too many super expensive threats. Gideon Jura for sure gets out of the main deck. You probably board out Gideon Jura, 2 Gideon Juras at least, a Spellskite.
I don't think you need the Timely Reinforcements.
He doesn't have that many threats. He might want to come
we're to the game now. We've got turn 1, Mountain versus Celestial Colonnade.
Kai's going to explore on 2. Into a Terramorphic. Looks like he's got a Green Sun Zenith in his hand and a Mountain. Eli has a turn 2 Squadron Hawk. Though one of the things that back in the old Callblade people were talking about was boarding out Squadron Hawks in this matchup because they just weren't, the threat wasn't enough. I mean, obviously you can't do that anymore without Stoneforge as a threat, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think that because Stoneforge doesn't exist anymore, you have to keep in the Squadron Hawks and then have your 3 Sword of Feast and Famines find them. Just find them.
Right, but it's just, it's a different world. It looks like Eli mulliganed, based on my counts, because he got 2 Hawks. Nope, he's going to discard this turn, actually.
Wow.
He's going to discard a Squadron Hawks, just has no desire to draw.
Want to draw it. He's got, yeah, let's get him out of there.
Kai boarded an Artisan and the Thrun, which is going to come right down.
Interesting.
It's kind of cute.
Thrun.
It's kind of cute how the Day of Judgment interaction might actually come up in this matchup.
Absolutely.
Regenerate's not an ability you see that often. I don't think I've had it come up once, but it involved Riverbow and Block Constructed.
I've definitely had Thrun's ability come up.
That's
as that it being my opponent. We got a Sword of Feast and Famine then.
But Kai has an Acidic Slime in hand, it looks like. Yep.
Cultivate, Slime. Is he missing the land?
Yes, he is.
That's actually incredibly significant.
Yes.
Cultivate's going to be fetching Mountain most likely. Maybe Mountain Forest. I mean...
Fear of Spreading Seas, but it's probably just Mountain.
Yeah. I mean, Spreading Seas is so uncommon from a deck that's running Squadron Hawks these days. At least unless it's there was
like a 1 day span on Moto where it was huge, but that was it.
I mean, I actually have been seeing a lot of people are calling every deck with Squadron Hawks that's blue-white Caw-Go. I do think a deck like this is Caw-Blade, but I mean, there are Caw-Go decks that exist again, and they often run Spreading Seas.
Sure, I feel like all these decks are a lot more towards the Caw-Go as opposed to the Blade side. It's just that Blade's a really good threat. You know, you play the sword, you hit them.
And it looks like Eli has 2 Celestial Colonnades in hand, and then another land besides. He equips, attacks.
Kai drops to 16. Probably, discarding Artisan to Castle-like.
And Eli's like, okay.
Eli's going to play another Squadron Hawks. Which is going to get the last Hawk out of his deck. It's kind of interesting. If he was going to discard that first Hawk, why not get all the Hawks and discard more? Maybe he just only didn't want to draw the 1. Looks like his hand has a Jace, a Dismember.
Dismember, interesting.
It's good against the battlements, so just keep them off of getting somewhere. Braun's going to get in. Eli looks like he's going down to 12 life. He attacked with Thrawn last turn, too.
He did attack with Thrawn last turn.
Okay, so these life totals should be 12 to 16. Acidic Slime comes down.
And leak or flash, or it resolves.
Yep.
And it looks to me like it's going to resolve.
Yep.
Take care of the card that matters.
Yep. And then it looks like a Valakut the Molten Pinnacle might be coming down. But Kai might also be thinking about whether it's right to play the Valakut and have Green Suns for 6 up next turn, or whether it's right to hold it so he can wait for a Harrow, or Cultivate into killing it. So it looks like that's a Dismember on the Slime, putting Eli to 8, if I counted correctly off all these attacks. Eli draws into the Royal. Yep, there we go, 8.
You see a Jace, little Jace. Oh, it's so nice to see a Jace come into play and have it not be Mind Sculptor.
Yeah, you know, there have been times where I've been advocates of little Jace over big Jace, but you could not do that in Standard ever.
Celestial Colonnade number 2, actually number 3, pardon me, hits play. 1 Hawk comes in.
Kai goes down to 15. The other Hawk's probably protecting the life total at this point, I think. But I don't think that matters. I think Kai is just going to get Titan up this turn, so...
Ugh. 1, 2, 3, 4...
That is a Koth of the Hammer, playing around a Spell Pierce.
Is that good? It is good, he says. And 4/4.
Can't even misclick and animate the mountain you just played because you didn't have one. Those are both going at the face, I'm assuming.
Most likely.
Eli goes down to 4.
Kai says go.
Yep.
What a rough place for Eli.
Yeah, especially because Kai has this Green Sun that is instantly lethal. That's a Day of Judgment that does not do anything against either of those threats.
Draw again. He's got an Into the Royal, which is
not
it
that
does
great.
something, but not great.
It doesn't actually do anything. It just makes him pay for the Koth again.
That's exactly. Well, I mean, if he happened to Jace into a counterspell.
But all the counterspells in his deck can be paid for. Kai has 7 mana, so Mana Leak and Spell Pierce are both.
Good God. Okay, there's a blocker.
Yep.
What Eli needs to do here is go over the top with something huge.
But maybe Gideon Jura or Sun Titan? Yep, that's a Sun Titan. That might
Sun
be.
Titan is good.
Yep, but let's see.
Sun Titan tapping him out though means that
he's dead.
The Green Sun Zenith kills him.
Yep. Titan back. Hawk? Playing around a removal spell.
I guess, right? And untapu. Kai Ruan casts the Green Sun Zenith. Says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All good girls go to heaven.
Yeah. And 6 to the face off 2 mountains coming in off a Primeval Titan from that Green Suns is lethal there.
And Eli does not make him go through the motions.
Yep. Okay, so going to 3. Another interesting thing.
Eli might change his plan now after seeing Kai's plan.
Yeah. Eli has 61 cards in his deck, interestingly. And this one Ponder just... Yeah, it looks like he took the list and wanted to play a few more cards and then decided he wanted to shave some cantrips for them. Specifically the Day of Judgments. That's actually the change. It's -2 Day of Judgments, or -2 Preordains, -1 Spell Pierce, +2 Day of Judgments, +1 Timely Reinforcements. Yeah, Eli top-aided with Reanimator recently, and he top-aided a lot with Junk in the pre-Mental Misstep world of Legacy.
Oh, I remember those days. Let's not get too much into the Legacy conversation, but
yeah.
But I have to say, Mental Misstep, frowny face.
As a Storm player, I would tend to agree, but I feel like it was necessary. That deck was beyond anything else in the format, and with Misstep, it's just a deck. Okay, so Eli's going back into the tank on sideboarding here. Let's see. I like the Consecrated Sphinx, but it might just not be enough. Drawing cards and everything probably is just... Tapping out to draw cards is actually the problem there. Because you can't actually respond to what they're doing unless they're hellbent at that point. But, yeah, Consecrated Sphinx actually isn't as good as I thought it was here.
I mean, the issue is the tapping out, just like you said, right? Where, I mean, Sun Titan would have been really awesome if it didn't mean he died right away.
There aren't any hard counters, so the Consecrated Sphinx isn't actually drawing real solutions. So by the time you're casting Consecrated Sphinx with mana up, they're going to have enough to pay for a Leak or a Pierce. Whereas Sun Titan's going to take out their Valakut, so Sun Titan's definitely the right creature there. So he probably just wanted the Sun Titan, Day of Judgment, 2 Flash Freezes, maybe the Dismember.
I don't know if I like Dismember. I mean, like, it doesn't... When I'm looking at Overgrown Battlements as the thing I'm killing, I'm not excited about that. Especially now that, you know, you've seen that you want Day of Judgment.
Sure.
You know?
You probably don't want the... Oh, he already has 3 main deck, not 2. Yeah, he doesn't want the full...
He's only
4.
got 2 Day of Judgment.
No, Dismember. He doesn't
Dismember.
want 4. He wants, at most, 3. Yeah, he's probably boarding out... I think Spellskite's one of his worst cards in this matchup, unless he's planning on using it as an answer to Nature's Claim, but I don't know how relevant that is or isn't.
I mean,
that being your answer.
Particularly if you're going to lean on your Day of Judgments at all.
Yeah.
And we have the game beginning. Turn 1, Eli Kassis slays a Glacial Fortress.
Kai plays a Valakut. Looks like he has Battlement and a Terracodon that we can see in hand. Eli has a Squadron Hawk on 2 for 2 more Hawks. Not discarding this time. Kai did, in fact, board in at least 1 Nature's Claim because it's in his hand. Looks like he has a Koth as well, but no mountains, so that should...
He goes Battlement, go.
Yeah. Yeah, that Koth in his hand is not going to get a hasted mount. Looks like he has Acidic Slime. Okay. So Kai's got kind of less of the Valakut plan, a bit more of this kind of, I guess...
Red-green mid-range.
Yeah, red-green mid-range plan.
Okay.
Beast Within. Another Battlement.
Gives him access to 2 green. 2 green makes
another
battlement.
Oh wow! It might be time for
11 next turn.
Yeah.
Day of Judgment would be pretty good here. There we go. It's 3 for 3, but on the mana side of things,
it's really a 3 for. It's a 3 for 1. Squadron Hawks did not actually provide a card there. Kai draws a Forest, but still in a rough situation without any other mana. Eli's going to play 2 Squadron Hawks.
Refills his board. Land.
That's a Primeval Titan. Not what he was looking for.
Says go.
Eli also has a Tectonic Edge for that Valakut, so things are looking a little hairy here.
Spellskite.
Yep.
Any responses?
That's going to get Nature's Claim.
There we go. 4 life. Kai doesn't really care about that 4 life at this point. He actually just wants to establish something.
Yeah, the Nature's Claim is going to go there anyway, so may as well do it when you have mana.
There we're going to see Mountain and Koth.
I don't know about that Koth there, actually. It seems like Kothing there is just going to result in Colonnade killing it, but I guess Eli wanted to Tectonic Edge the Valakut?
He might have the land.
He does have the... Oh, he has another Tectonic Edge. Yeah.
Boing. So the Koth is gone, and Kai loses a land there. I mean, even without that edge happening, the Koth was gone on table, you know, so...
Yeah.
Just...
Maybe, I think his hope was that Eli edges and doesn't have an untapped land. That's not a realistic hope, I think. Kai takes another 2 from Squadron Hawks.
Kai's in real trouble here. Oh my god, yeah. That's a 3-turn clock at this point. Maybe 2 turns, depending on what...
That's just a beast token.
Well...
See,
now, I have no idea how Kai has his deck sideboarded. It could be, even though I think Slagstorm should be gone, it could be he'll just cast Slagstorm 2 turns from now, and we'll be like, wow, you really are red-green mid-range.
He's probably still dead to the Colonnade then. He's probably trying to get Acidic Slime for that Tectonic Edge so that he can get to the... Oh, that is not the land you want to draw here.
Just a little late.
Force him to Tectonic Edge it so he can't attack with... nope, can still attack with Colonnade and
then activate the Edge after.
I thought he had 1 less mana, so...
Bang.
Yeah, Kai is...
Real trouble. He needs an untapped land right here.
No,
and
he's
that's
just
not
dead.
It.
Yep,
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, he needed an untapped land, kill the Colonnade, block and trade with the Beast, and then find answers to the Squadron Hawks, which had him down to...
2 life, which is
so he's already dead.
Just dead. And we're back. I'm Ari Lax here with Adrian Sullivan. We're at Star City Games Open Pittsburgh. Today's Standard.
That's right.
And we just saw, well, same thing as before. Valakut losing to Caw-Blade.
Right. And as we were talking about before, in this match, Eli Kassis playing Caw-Blade, and you were mentioning how he had some legacy success in the past, and his opponent Kai Ruan playing Valakut. Now Kai's sideboard, his sideboard plan looked to basically almost abandon a pure Valakut game in favor of a red-green mid-range game. We saw Koths, we saw Artisan of Kozilek, we saw Thrun all come in, and that's not exactly what we would have imagined happening.
It's not really abandoning it so much as just you have the ability with Green Zenith to get all of these cards. Right. And the Artisan's kind of, sometimes these games go really late against Caw-Blade, and you just have this 9-mana double threat. And even if they counter the Artisan, you have a Titan in play usually, which is good enough.
Now, what do you... You kind of only thought he should bring in a little bit of Nature's Claim and instead use Acidic Slime and Beast Within to deal with the sword.